Marvin was murdered in April 1984, and he still had one more album to release after the label Columbia released Dream of a Lifetime. In 1968, Marvin was working on some more pop standards. He was still on that whole crooner tip. And he was working with a producer and arranger by the name of Bobby Scott. They recorded Why Did I Choose You, More, Maria, Fly Me to the Moon, and I Won't Cry Anymore, which are all on this album. Marvin was depressed, a lot going on in his personal life, so he stopped doing it. He revisited the idea in the 70s, and during that time, he recorded Walking in the Rain, Just Like Stranger in My Life. Um, I think that is an interesting background because you can hear the differences in Marvin vocally when you listen to the songs he recorded in 1968 versus when he recorded some of those songs in the 70s when he was more um, vocally complete as a singer. He was already good, but that's when he had the falsetto. You know, he had his full voice, that tenor, so he was able to kind of arrange the songs in a more Marvin-esque way than the traditional straightforward through way that he was doing a lot in the 60s. So Columbia took those songs and they put them out, and it was titled Romantically Yours, and it completed Marvin's obligations, contractual obligations to Columbia, which, helped alleviate any debt that may have happened, after he was killed. Um, it is, I remember when I first heard this, um, I, I've come to become a fan of Crooner Marvin, but the more I listen to this, the more I long to hear what Marvin would do with some of those earlier albums he recorded n- later on in his career, or if he was able, if he was fully fleshed out like he is now. But unfortunately, that's just the way things go. And I think the beauty in not knowing that is using the imagination and also just hearing the natural progression from a guy that went from the 60s all the way to the 80s. And he had a hit and life changing songs in every single decade. And this album is a fun, interesting listen. Is Marvin is singing very very well on here, and for me, man, I love the Shadow of Your Smile where Marvin is doing both vocals with the falsetto in the background and the tenor in the forefront is really really dope. I Won't Cry Anymore is good. Why Did I Choose You? I love the way he ended that song. Towards the end, it was about 30, 40 minutes left with a very passionate vocal cry. He had that gospel type tone that he has. And Just Like is probably my favorite song on here. And the thing about that one is the more I listen to it, especially nowadays, I could easily hear that one on the Let's Get It On album. It kind of fits the sound of his voice, the way he was singing, sound like it would fit on that album. So so yeah, overall, I think that Columbia did a pretty fair job of putting together an ensemble of songs that worked to satisfy their obligations. But as a fan, I'm content and happy with these songs, and I'm happy that I got a chance to hear them as well. So we are rounding the corner. There are only about 2 or 3 more albums left before we close this out. And all of these are released, of course, after his death. But yeah, I think this is the second one, and I think we have 2, maybe 3 more left to do. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. If you have not heard this album, give it a listen, especially if you are a Marvin fan. And that's it. I'll be back next time.